Everything right now speaks to me in a level. I'm trying to move my mic. Speaks to me in a level of danger for any characters that have not really been accounted for in Mishima's promises. For those who remember, I don't remember the exact date. You can look it up. You know, if somebody needs me to, I'd be willing to look, but I'm sure you can find it. Mishima talked about the characters that he said would for sure show up in 100 Years Quest. He said Sting, Rogue, Jalal, and Gildarts. I believe he said Jalal. He might have not said Jalal, and I just assumed Jalal was going to because he's Jalal. But I know he said Sting, Rogue, and Gildarts. And Sting and Rogue have come in. They've had small appearances, and then they had moments in the Goldal arc. And I wouldn't be surprised if they make one more appearance in the grand scheme of things, because it would make sense if they made a pop-in, showed up, and helped with kind of stuff going, because they know a degree of how everything's going. Maybe they come back to help Gray or something. Who knows with that one. But we have not really seen Gildarts, and I don't count the God Seed Wolfen's Gildarts. I don't count that. That's not the same thing. It makes me really worried in the sense that I've had a theory for a while that if anybody realistically was going to get killed that we were going to like have heavy impact care about during 100 Years Quest, it realistically would would be at the time, and still is, and I would say more so, be Gildarts. And the reason for that is, and I'll keep it relatively easy to kind of like process, is you look at all the characters that are available essentially to be killed, because obviously none of the direct main cast members are going to get killed for the sake of events in the story. I don't think that Gray or Urza is anyone going to get killed, or Lucy or whatever, Wendy. I don't think that would happen. But you look at any characters that say like would be relevant in like a character death. I don't think it could be Makarov, because I feel like Makarov is a character that is like realistically has to die of old age at this point and give him this kind of calm, peaceful ending. But Gildarts is a character that, on top of having this kind of, you know, role model spot with Natsu, we don't really know much about him. And that to me is a red flag. When you don't know about a character's backstory this late in the game, it usually means like it's being saved. Because like if we had, say we had the August versus Gildarts fight, and Gildarts had his backstory flashback, and he remembered, you know, something in his backstory helped him kind of like, you know, get in the moment, and maybe that's what led up to him using all of his power, using you know, his move to, you know, Zetten. Yeah, thanks Black Clover. Beating, no, not beating, but damaging rather August. It's like if you did something like that, I would say he's not really in the same degree of danger. But when you still don't know anything about his backstory, it makes it really nervous to where it could be, because it's like it just smells of, he comes back, he has a part in the story again. It's like, cool, Gildarts. You actually see Gildarts in like the full scope, like he gets like a really good fight that's like focused. You get a flashback. You find out him as a kid. You find out where he's from. Like that has like such a, we've been saving this and we're going to use it card. I don't know, because like it doesn't feel to me as like one that would be, it's, you know, you just bring it in, you show them at some point, you're like, oh cool, it's nice to learn about this character. It's one of those ones that you would intentionally want it to be in their final moments. And a lot of people have wondered what exactly would be the thing that Ignia does to drive Natsu over. If you've read Rave Master, I don't want to spoil too much, but Lucia has a very similar position of what Ignia is to Natsu. And I'll just say that Lucia decided to really get at him by going at his girl, like the you know, his equivalent of Lucy. So it's like people have thought that Ignia was going to do that. I think he would be more violent than like trying to assault her. But personally, to me, I think it with Ignia, because we know about a couple things about Ignia despite what he says, because he seems to say like he doesn't really care about stuff about like his dad and whatnot, but anytime he really seems to gonna talk about it, he has like a moment where it looks like he's bothered, like something is affecting him. And it's very clear that he had a level of respect, like a high level of reverence for his dad when he's like talking about how he was the greatest dragon and whatnot. When he, because I think that's still something we need to see exactly as like Prime Ignial and see exactly where Prime Ignial was. Just because I personally have always thought it's like it would make sense. It's like Ignial in his prime was Acnologia level, but like Ignial once Acnologia was active, Ignial was older and kind of like starting to, he wasn't his peak. He was like way more aged in life, and that's why he's like way more wise or something. He's way past his battle prime, and that's why he started to think more. And that's like a dragon after it starts being like physically as crazy, but maybe he just kind of started to chill. I don't know. But when you look at it, it's like, okay, well, Ignia and all this, everything to go on with what's going on. Oh, hang on, I lost my train of thought. What's like? I need to pause it. I'm trying really hard to lose my train of thought. Okay, I completely started like rambling for a second. I was trying to lose my train of thought, but it to me, I think that Ignia in his character, because he clearly has he clearly respects his father. He clearly has a level of appreciation for what his dad's legacy was, and is mad about Acnologia. And I think that's going to be one of the things that we figure out more about. But I think with Ignia, if he found out like about Gildarts, I think it would bother him. I think it would bother him to like know that it's like Natsu. Ignia loved Natsu. And this, damn, let me lay the stage real quick. An idea, because I think it makes sense that Ignia, as a dragon, normally would be like, it makes sense my dragon or my dad doesn't really care about me, but it's like he cares about this human, which would be confusing. And at that point, maybe that's going to be part of the reason, like, why Ignia is the way he is. And it's like, but at that point, if from Ignia's standpoint, if the guy that apparently, allegedly is more valuable to his father, more, worth more than he is, and he beat this guy with a group and not of his own power, and on top of that, because that would probably, just generally bother you. It's like, well, it's, the race, the idea of a dragon is you're going to do it solo, and this guy's over here doing it as a group. Like, Natsu's side, he's like, I don't give a shit about doing it as a group or solo. It's like, we're trying to get this stuff done so everybody doesn't die. But it's like, okay, well, it's like, that's going to bother him. But when you then get at that point from Ignia, this guy it's going to upset you that he is in a position that you don't get to with your father. But also, he looks at Gildarts in a similar-ish, like, I would say, like, adjacent role, an adjacent level of respect as Ignial. I feel like with Ignia, that would bother you. It'd be like when you compare Ignial's, like, accomplishments and, like, everything about him and everything, his just level of expanse of dragon lore, I would assume that Ignia knows about. And then it's like you just have this human that's like powerful but really not that crazy for Ignia, that even in the scope of things, like for Ignia, it's like Gildarts isn't really that crazy, and I thought he's like a little goofy, he's just over there trying to hit on chicks. Maybe that would bother him too. It's like this guy who was like a, going around hooking up with all these women, having all these bastard kids. Well, Kana wasn't a bastard kid, but it's like realistically an idea. Maybe that would kind of like all these things line up that I feel like would make Ignia really mad. And then at the end of the day, it's like it would get to Natsu, but also like Ignia would want to be like, well, my, the guy that was supposed to be my dad went for you. So what if this other guy that, you seem to have, I don't know, replaced my dad? How about I get rid of him? I think that would be something that would just align with like the kind of like setup with Ignia and a lot of the ties into things that, like, when you look at each of the characters, because there's a level of like weird event kind of crisscross that Mishima has with like Natsu. When you look at like Natsu is to Ignial what Happy is to him. He's got this adopted child of another race. You have Romeo to Natsu, and Natsu is to Gildarts. He's like his role model within the magic world and somebody in the guild that he looks up to. And then you have like Wendy to Natsu, and then Natsu to Laxus, of, you know, this older brother kind of dragon slayer thing, and somebody that they looked up to for strength and courage while they go about their own things. It's like things that kind of like line up all in like direct ways, and then it's like with Ignia like would make that kind of weird by like looking at like, okay, well, Ignia to Natsu is what Natsu would consider his dad, whereas Gildarts is like a father figure, but more like his idol, kind of, you know, somebody he wants to kind of, you know, that directly inspires him more as a wizard. I would say more, you know, more as a wizard and a man, not as directly as like his father kind of guy. It's like sort of, but not really, because it never seems to be the full case. And Igni, I think, would, you know, be the thing that kind of like connects those two lines in full and kind of like says like they're similar enough that I have a problem with them. So we'll see about that. You know, I did a video on it a while ago, like a couple years back, and it's like kind of like a follow-up one, just because I feel like it's more so prevalent just based off of current events and the fact that we still haven't actually had Gildarts pop in. You can't count the fake one because it's not a real one. And then just I think Igni is going to do something severe to Natsu. It's just going to depend on what it is. I feel like that's something that could be pretty crazy, and we still don't see Gildarts, but Gildarts could pop in at any point. We'll see. Other than that, comment below, thumbs up the video for the like button, subscribe, and check out my other videos. But then that, I appreciate everyone who's already subscribed. Thank you all for listening. Bye.